Writing your own website content is all well and good. In fact, you should certainly write your own website content when you're first starting out. You need to know what makes a good article, how to structure an article, and how to write it in a way that works well on your website. But there's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much content you can add yourself. So if you want to scale up your website and kind of up the amount of content you're publishing to your site, you're going to need some help. Now, regulars to the channel will know I'm a big fan of AI tools to help you do this. In fact, I've got some AI content that's been performing really well. If you want to find out more about that, then check out that video where I take you through how I put together AI content. But sometimes, you know, AI isn't going to cut it. Maybe you're not into it. Maybe you don't like it. And it's at that point you're going to need a team of writers. You know, good old-fashioned people that put pen to paper or fingers to keys and create you some quality content from their own mind. But how on earth do you find decent writers? Well, that's a really good question, and one that people ask me all the time, and one that I didn't really know the answer to until recently, when I set out to actually create myself a team of writers to help me scale up my websites and produce content for me. And well, I've ended up with 5 quality writers that work for me, you know, pretty much every day. They're churning out content for 2 of my case study websites at the moment. And well, it's all working really well. So in this video, I'm going to take you through that process from start to finish, how I built the team up, what I did, how I found them, and yeah, all the details. Let's go. Hello, it's Alex here. Hope you're all well. So, well, let's start from the beginning. And at the beginning, I was using writers, of course, but kind of on an ad hoc basis. I was using companies like Texton, which were pretty decent, to be fair, but inconsistent. You know, you weren't able to build a relationship with any writers. You get a different writer each time you put an order in. Sometimes the articles are really good, sometimes not so good. And yeah, it wasn't what I wanted. I wanted a relationship with my writers where we kind of knew each other and they knew my websites and the kind of stuff that I was after. So that's really where this story starts, and that's me looking for these people. So I'd heard that the website problogger.com was a good place to find writers. So I went over there, and it's basically like a job board. You post what you want and people apply. So I posted a job. Here it is, you can see it there. And yeah, nothing too special, just basically asking for English speakers, native English speakers, and also asking them not to fluff, and a few other guidelines. They're all in there. Actually, Sue helped me prepare that, that job advert, and I'll get onto Sue in a minute as well. But yeah, that's the advert. I did offer 4 cents per word, but I actually changed that pretty quickly afterwards because I'm not really one for paying writers by the word. I don't think it's a very good way to do it because that way you end up with a lot of fluff. So I now actually pay my writers a fixed fee of $60 per article. We will get onto the pricing and all that kind of stuff towards the end. Let's go back to where we are. So yeah, the job advert went up, and wow, the responses started coming in thick and fast. In fact, we had over 200 responses to that job ad. Now, I mentioned Sue. Let me just quickly talk about Sue. Now, Sue is my VA, and I met her through this channel here, WP Eagle. She was a viewer. We started talking, and then she started doing some stuff with me. And yeah, she has been a total asset to WP Eagle. She's really helped me with this process because I'm really bad at, you know, organizing stuff like this. So if you're like me and bad at organizing stuff and just generally bad at doing anything in general, then get yourself a VA. Where you find a VA, I'm not sure. As I say, me and Sue just kind of met via this channel. But I'm sure there are places you can get them. Maybe put an advert up on ProBlogger. I don't know. But yeah, get a VA. They're really helpful. So me and Sue started going through the job applicants. Well, I say me and Sue, it was mainly Sue. And we were basically being pretty ruthless. Anyone that didn't send any examples of work or didn't have a portfolio or just generally didn't complete the application in a particularly good way, they were cut straight away.
I'm thinking no, but thanks.
And that's my one tip to anyone applying for any kind of job. If you're a writer, a graphic designer, photographer, anything like that which involves you creating something, you need to send examples of your work. You know, if you're a photographer, you need to send some example photos. If you're a graphic designer, you need to send some example art. I don't know why I slapped my thigh then. Yeah, anyone that didn't send any examples, they were cut. And well, that allowed us to actually reduce the list pretty quickly. So we got it down to around 25 people. And then we basically asked them to prepare some example work. And I offered them 3 different article subjects across 3 of my sites. So there's one on darts, one for Knowledgeable Mind, which is kind of, I don't even know how to explain it, airy-fairy stuff. I haven't really done much work on that site since, actually. And another one about popcorn. So yeah, we sent that to the 25 and said, can you prepare these articles? And we didn't actually offer any money at this point. These were purely just to see if the people that were applying were any good. Now here's where I made my first mistake, because sending 3 different subjects over was all well and good, but then it made it quite difficult to obviously compare the articles like for like, because you've got maybe an article on darts against an article on manifestation or something like that. And you know, the two, it's like comparing apples and oranges. It's very difficult. And in fact, the most popular article with the writers was one that was a little bit vague. It was, let me just check, negative thoughts. This is the subject that I gave them. Negative thoughts. What happens if you manifest something bad? Which of course is actually quite a difficult topic to write about, because it's not scientific, it's not tangible, it's about manifestation, which is of course a lot of ideas and thoughts and that kind of stuff. But yeah, a lot of them chose that one, and a lot of them actually then misinterpreted what I was actually after. I was basically, I don't actually know what I was after 100% in terms of the search intent behind that query. I think people are looking for, when they search for that, what actually happens. You know, if you like really manifest something negative, what happens? You know, does bad things happen to people, that kind of thing. I think that's what the article should have been about. So we ended up getting a whole load of articles back that were a little bit off point and just generally very hard to gauge. Now I'm going to have a whole load of takeaways and tips and ideas towards the end of this video, so be sure to stick around for that. But your number one tip there is to be very specific when you're asking for example content. When you want someone to write you an article to see if they're any good, make it about a subject that's, you know, fairly straightforward, and only offer one article to all of the people applying, so then you can easily, you know, measure them and judge them against each other. Now, not everyone sent in an example article. Some of them asked for some money, and we said, not sure about that, and so they didn't write anything. So we only got a handful back, and they weren't all that good. And in fact, no one wrote about darts. So that kind of was a bit of a red flag there, that niche is going to be tricky in terms of getting writers. And in fact, even now, my writers don't really like writing about darts. Weird. So anyway, we went back through the applicant list. Some of the ones that we cut, we put back in, and we sent out another, I think, 10 or so requests for a demo article. And this time we did offer some compensation. We offered, I think, around $15 or £15, something like that, for this example article. And that actually encouraged more responses. So I guess that's worth knowing. If you want some, you know, example articles, you're probably going to have to pay for them. That way, you know, you'll encourage the writers to actually do it. And of course, you can keep the article anyway. You can do something with it, although you will end up with 20 articles on the same subject. So even though we did offer some compensation, not everyone from that list replied. I think we got 6 back, something like that. And out of those, like 1, maybe 2 was half decent. But anyway, this process continued and continued, and we ended up, after about 2 months, with 6 writers that were, well, they seemed pretty good. They ticked all the boxes. Their writing quality was good, and they were happy to work with us and everything else. So yeah, we ended up with 6 writers at that point, and we said, yeah, well done. You can work with us. Let's start.
The position has been filled.
So this is where I offered them a new payment system. I said, you know, I don't want any fluff. I don't want to pay you by the word. I will pay you $60 per article, which I think is actually quite high, but I wanted to keep these writers because they seemed like good quality writers, and I wanted good quality articles, and I wanted people to spend time, and I didn't want people to fluff. So that's what I came up with. $60 per article. Now, of course, some articles are quite short and some articles are quite long. So I'm just hoping that it kind of balances out as they do work. You know, some will do short and then they'll do some long ones, and you know, it should balance out. And they seemed okay with it. In terms of when the articles got paid, it started by me saying, you know, once you've submitted 4 or 5 articles and they've been published, then I'll pay you. But that wasn't really working for the writers. So I changed it so as soon as they submit the article and basically Sue has looked at it and said it looks okay, they can then raise an invoice. So yeah, I have writers' invoices coming in all the time at the moment, but it's fine, it's fine. I'm happy to pay quickly if they're preparing content quickly. Yeah, it works both ways. In terms of how I communicate with the writers and how they find work, well, in terms of communication, we have Slack set up on the free plan, I think it is, which is basically just like a chat system. So that's pretty cool. You can set up groups and that kind of thing. And yeah, it's a great way of communicating. In terms of getting the work out, we have a spreadsheet that I update and Sue updates. And we add, you know, keywords, titles, subheadings, notes, and yeah, basically all the information that the writers need in order to prepare an article. They have a look at the spreadsheet. They can then mark whether they want a particular article. They just put their name next to it and select it on the drop down as being written. And yeah, once it's sent in, we obviously check it, edit it, publish it. Sue does some images, does the SEO and all that kind of stuff, and then we mark it as published on the spreadsheet. It works really well, and I'll put a link, by the way, to that spreadsheet in the description, a blank version of that spreadsheet so that you can use it yourself if you like. Just save a copy of it to your Google Docs. So that's basically it, and we continue going forward in this manner. The writers are churning out, I don't know, between 30 and 60 articles a month, depending on how much I want from them. At the moment, because the way niche websites have been going down from Google, I've kind of pulled back a little bit in terms of asking them to slow down on the content. But still, yeah, last month we had, I think, maybe 28 or 30 articles published across 2 of my sites. So yeah, it's working really well. We're down to 5 writers now. One of them, it didn't quite work out. And again, you know, as soon as you start to see the content coming in, you'll know the writers that are a good fit for your websites and the ones that maybe aren't. And of course, you just be polite. You pay them and say, it's not kind of working. Good luck. See you later. I slapped my thigh again. So here's my key takeaways from building a team of writers. What I've learned over the last however many months this has been going on. So the first thing, as I already said, is you need to be very specific when you're asking for demo articles or example articles when you're in that recruitment phase. Don't give them an airy, fairy, fluffy kind of subject. Don't give them 3 or 4 different subjects to choose from. It's going to make it very hard for you to make a decision based on the content that they send back to you. The second point is, with regards to those trial articles, it's probably best to offer some payment on that. Now, of course, that could get expensive if you've got 200 people or whatever and you want them all to write a demo article. That's going to get expensive. So you're going to have to be ruthless at the beginning and cut a lot of chaff. You call it chaff from the wheat or whatever. You need to cut a lot out before you start asking for demo articles if you're going to be paying, because otherwise it's going to get expensive for the 50 or so articles you're going to get back that are all going to be on the same keyword. Number 3 kind of builds on number 2, and that is, you know, be ruthless, especially at that very beginning stage when you've got applications coming in. If there's no example work, there's nothing, you know, I've never filled in the form properly or whatever, they spelt something wrong, get them out of there. See you later. We ain't got time. Sorry. Yeah, be ruthless in that first, you know, when you're whittling down the list. That will really save you some time and effort later. Point number 4. We are up to 4, aren't we? I think so. Number 4 is just simply be very patient with the whole process. It takes a while, I'm talking months, to build a good team of writers. You're not going to find the right person in a week or in a couple of weeks or even in a month. It's going to take longer than that. So be aware of that. Take your time, take it easy, and it'll work out all right in the end. The next point is always check for plagiarism. We have had some content come in, especially in that beginning period when we're getting example content coming, that have just blatantly been ripped off from someone else's website. So you sound like Copyscape, or if you've got Jasper, that has got Copyscape built in, or Grammarly's got a plagiarism tool as well. Just use one and check the content that you're getting, because that's the last thing you want is copyrighted stuff on your website. And finally, the last point is don't take someone's word for it when they say they've got a degree in English. There's a good chance they probably haven't. You'll know how good their English is. And also keep in mind that a lot of good writers don't have a degree in English either. They've just, you know, well versed in what they do. They've had a lot of experience. They've written a lot of stuff, and that will show in their writing. So just judge everyone on their merits and not their CV, and I think you'll do okay. So that brings us to the end of this video. Hope you found that useful, especially if you're thinking of hiring some writers. Maybe you've already hired some writers. How did it go? Do you have any tips? Anything to share with regards to taking on writers or managing writers or writing or anything beginning with the letter W? I don't know. Just leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. I do read all the comments that I get and I'll try to reply to as many as I can. If you like this video, then yeah, click that like button. And to avoid missing upcoming streams and videos, make sure you click the subscribe button and click that bell. And well, you might get a notification. But until next time, good luck with your sites. Bye for now. See you later.